We often think blessings arrive with fanfare, with celebration, confirmation, and clarity. But the truth is, when something big is on the way, the process doesn't begin with applause. It begins with silence. It begins with disruption. It begins with a feeling deep inside, a whisper that says, something is shifting. When God is about to do something extraordinary in the life of a woman, she will begin to notice 7 specific signs, not because she's searching, but because she's being called. It starts here, a sacred agitation. Her soul can't sit still. She no longer finds comfort in the familiar. It's not depression. It's not confusion. It's transition. The restlessness is God stirring her spirit for what's to come. Friendships fade, conversations feel different, the circle gets smaller, and while that may hurt, it's strategic. God removes the noise so she can hear the calling. Not everyone is meant to go where she's going, and not everyone deserves to witness what she's about to become. She doesn't want the spotlight. She doesn't want distractions. She begins to crave stillness. Solitude becomes sacred, because in quiet places, she starts hearing divine instructions. In solitude, she doesn't just find peace, she finds direction. What used to excite her now feels empty. The temporary thrills, the superficial gains, they no longer satisfy. Her values evolve. Her soul starts craving legacy, depth, purpose. God is rewiring her heart for what's truly hers. She can't explain it, but she knows something is near. She feels a divine countdown ticking, not to rush, but to prepare. It's not anxiety, it's anticipation, and it's sacred. Opportunities appear she didn't ask for. Connections are made that she didn't chase. It's not her hustle, it's her alignment. This is what favor looks like. She's not striving, she's stepping into flow. There's no evidence yet, no sign on the surface, but her belief grows stronger, her trust becomes unshakable. Because somewhere deep inside, she knows God is not finished. He's just getting started. When something powerful is about to enter a woman's life, the very first signal is rarely peace. In fact, it's often quite the opposite. Discomfort settles in like an unexpected guest. Things that once felt secure begin to feel unstable. Habits that brought comfort now feel empty. Places that once felt like home begin to feel unfamiliar. This isn't failure. This isn't confusion. This is what alignment often looks like before it takes form. Growth never shows up wrapped in comfort. Transformation rarely sends a polite notice. It arrives suddenly, shaking the foundation of the old to make room for the new. A woman on the verge of receiving something significant often walks through a season where nothing makes sense, not because she's doing something wrong, but because she's being recentered, redirected, and redefined. The restlessness she feels is not a void, it's a signal. It's the soul's way of saying there's more than this. The discomfort is a spiritual awakening, a gentle push to rise above patterns that no longer serve her. Even though it may feel like everything is falling apart, what's truly happening is that everything is falling into place. The job begins to feel too small. The relationship starts to feel misaligned. The daily routine begins to taste bland. That's not failure. That's not her being ungrateful. It's a divine stirring, a calling to more. Discomfort is the prelude to revelation, and while it may not feel good, it is good. Because it's in the discomfort that clarity is born. Many women think clarity comes in the form of answers, but more often than not, it comes in the form of elimination. God starts removing the unnecessary, the distracting, the limiting, and as painful as that can be, it's also the exact space where vision sharpens. A woman doesn't always gain clarity by adding more to her life. Sometimes she finds it when things begin to leave. The discomfort forces her to look within. It peels back the noise of outside opinions, old expectations, and worn-out dreams. It brings her face to face with what she truly wants, what she truly believes, and what she's truly capable of. In this raw space, without the cushions of comfort, she begins to see clearly, not with her eyes, but with her spirit. It's tempting to run from this discomfort, to label it as something to fix, something to hide from, or something to numb. But if she leans in, if she sits with it, She'll notice that the very tension she wants to escape is the doorway to the life she's been praying for. Before the blessing arrives, she must become the woman who can carry it. And becoming her is not always graceful or easy. It's often messy, emotional, and full of questions. But the process is holy, because discomfort doesn't mean something is wrong. More often, it means something real is on the way. Clarity is coming, not in spite of the discomfort, but because of it. There comes a time in a woman's journey when the familiar begins to feel far away. Friends grow distant, conversations become shallow, and routines that once gave her comfort start to feel hollow. It's easy to mistake this for rejection or abandonment, but something deeper is happening. This isolation isn't a punishment. It's not a reflection of her worth or value. It's a sacred pause, a divine setup. She is not being cast aside. She's being set apart. Isolation often arrives unannounced. It doesn't always come with explanation or clarity. It simply begins to unfold. Invitations stop coming. Certain people start fading away. Even the things she used to enjoy now feel draining. And in that silence and that aloneness, she's tempted to believe something is wrong, but in truth, something is very right. Because before elevation, God often removes distraction. He clears the room before he speaks. He silences the noise before he releases direction. A woman who is about to receive something big must first learn to be okay in the quiet. The solitude is where she meets her real self. It's in that stillness that she begins to remember who she is, beyond the titles, the roles, the expectations. She starts to notice things she was too busy to see. Her thoughts become clearer. Her soul begins to breathe. It's not loneliness, it's space being made for something greater. Sometimes isolation is the only way God can get her full attention. When the world goes quiet, she starts to hear the whispers of her destiny. She's no longer caught up in comparison, competition, or people-pleasing. Instead, she begins to feel a pull toward growth, healing, and alignment. And as uncomfortable as it may be, she begins to realize that this isolation is not meant to break her, it's meant to build her. The truth is, not everyone is meant to walk with her into her next season. Elevation requires separation. Certain relationships would only dilute the vision. Some connections would only delay the promise. So God allows space, not to hurt her, but to protect what's coming. He knows that in order for her to rise, she needs to release. In the silence, she becomes strong. In the solitude, she becomes focused. And in the isolation, she becomes free from distractions, free from attachments, free from needing validation. Because the next level of her life doesn't require her to be surrounded. It requires her to be solid. And nothing builds that kind of inner strength like walking alone for a while. So if she finds herself in a season of isolation, she must not fear it. She must not resist it. Instead, she should honor it. Because it's in these quiet in-between moments that God often does his greatest work. She's not being overlooked. She's being prepared. She's not being left behind. She's being pulled ahead. And when the time is right, the world will see what the silence was shaping all along. There comes a moment in every woman's life when what once captivated her no longer holds the same weight. The things that used to excite her, the people she tried to impress, the validation she once chased, suddenly feel distant, almost irrelevant. It's not that she's lost her ambition or drive. Rather, her focus has shifted. Her priorities have started to align with something deeper, something more eternal. This change isn't forced, it's organic, it's a quiet awakening of the soul. She no longer wants to be seen, she wants to be understood. She no longer craves attention, she craves authenticity. The idea of performing, of constantly proving herself, exhausts her. She begins to choose rest over recognition, intention over image. This is a woman who is undergoing divine realignment. Her heart is being recalibrated toward what actually matters. The shift often begins subtly. She finds herself disengaged from shallow conversations. Gossip no longer amuses her. Trends no longer dictate her worth. She looks around and realizes that she doesn't want the spotlight. She wants peace. She doesn't want to be fulfilled. There's a pull on her spirit that refuses to let her settle for surface level living. What she once considered success now feels empty if it's not rooted in meaning. She begins to ask questions like, does this matter? Is this aligned with who I truly am? Will this bring me peace? These are not the questions of someone lost. These are the questions of someone waking up to her calling, waking up to her value, waking up to the reality that she was not created to live by default, but by divine design. As her priorities shift, her energy follows. She stops showing up for things out of obligation. She stops entertaining chaos in the name of loyalty. She realizes that every yes given to something that drains her is a no to something that could grow her. So she becomes selective, not out of arrogance, but out of wisdom. She now knows the cost of her peace, and she's no longer willing to pay it for temporary applause. This change may confuse others. Some will say she's acting differently. Some will call her distant, but in truth, she's simply evolving. She's choosing alignment over attachment. She's no longer building a life that looks good. She's building a life that feels good. One rooted in purpose, truth, and joy. And while this transformation may feel isolating at times, it is necessary. Because when God is preparing a woman for something big, he starts by shifting what she values. He helps her see beyond the surface and into the soul of things. And once she tastes the power of living from a place of purpose, she can never go back to chasing empty things. This is more than change, it's elevation. And she's not losing herself. She's finally becoming who she was always meant to be. There is a sacred shift that occurs when a woman is walking in alignment with her purpose. Suddenly, things start to happen that she can't explain. Not because she worked harder than everyone else, not because she followed the rules better, but because something greater is at work behind the scenes. Unusual opportunities begin to find her. Doors open that she didn't even know existed. Rooms she never asked to enter suddenly invite her in. And in these moments, she realizes something powerful. She's not chasing anymore, she's being chosen. This isn't about luck, it's about timing. Divine timing. There is a rhythm to blessings, and when a woman is in tune with who she really is, that rhythm begins to surround her. She's no longer striving, pushing, or proving. She's simply showing up in truth, and that truth becomes magnetic. People notice, situations shift, opportunities start to orbit around her because her energy speaks before she does. But once required hustle now arrives through grace. She'll find herself receiving calls she didn't expect, invitations she didn't seek, and recognition she didn't fight for. It will feel unfamiliar at first, almost too good to be true. But that's how favor works. It doesn't ask permission. It arrives when you're ready, even if you don't feel prepared. She begins to understand that being chosen doesn't mean being better. It means being aligned. These blessings aren't random. They're connected to her obedience, to her decision to let go of the wrong things, to her refusal to settle for less than she deserves, to her willingness to walk alone if that's what it takes to walk in truth. God honors that kind of clarity. He rewards that kind of courage. And while others may look at her life and assume she just got lucky, she knows the story behind it. She knows the quiet battles, the lonely nights, the times she almost gave up. These new doors are not shortcuts. They are confirmations, signs that everything she released was worth it, proof that what is meant for her will always find her, even if it has to pass through 1,000 hands to get there. What's powerful is that she no longer needs to manipulate outcomes. She doesn't have to force connections or beg for attention. She's past that. She has learned that what flows to her when she's in alignment is far more valuable than anything she could have chased. This is what happens when she becomes a vessel for purpose. Opportunity becomes a byproduct. And the most beautiful part, these blessings don't just elevate her, they expand her, they stretch her vision, they invite her to rise, to speak, to serve, to lead, because she's not just receiving favor for herself, she's being positioned to be a blessing to others. In this season, she doesn't need to knock. The doors are opening. Not because she forced them, but because she finally became the version of herself that was always meant to walk through them. As a woman steps deeper into alignment with her purpose, there's a subtle shift that begins to take place within her, something unspoken yet profoundly powerful. It's not just a thought or a feeling, it's a knowing, an inner compass that guides her through life even when the path ahead isn't visible. Her intuition, once a quiet whisper, becomes her loudest and most reliable guide. This intuition isn't random, it's rooted in a deep, unshakable trust in something greater than herself. Before the world shows evidence, before the signs manifest in the physical realm, she knows, she feels it in her spirit, like a gentle nudge or a soft pull in the direction of something unseen. It's a certainty that doesn't rely on external validation. She doesn't need to see the evidence first to believe in what's coming. She feels it in her core. There's a sense of quiet confidence that develops as if her soul has already aligned with the future, even before the universe unfolds it. This is not a passive knowing, it's an active faith, a faith that doesn't need explanations or guarantees. She begins to trust herself in a way she never has before. She no longer questions every decision, wondering if she's on the right path. She no longer seeks approval from others to move forward. Instead, she listens to her inner voice, that steady whisper that speaks truth, even in the midst of uncertainty. She becomes her own authority because she knows deep down that she's connected to something much bigger than herself. Her intuition is not rooted in fear or anxiety. It is grounded in peace. It's the kind of peace that doesn't depend on external circumstances, but comes from a deep trust in the process of life. Even when the world around her is chaotic, her inner world remains calm. She can stand still even when everything else is in motion because she knows that she is being guided. She's in the flow of divine timing, and that knowledge gives her a strength that the world cannot shake. This kind of unshakable intuition leads her to make decisions that others might not understand. While others may be paralyzed by uncertainty or fear, she moves forward confidently, trusting that she's on the right path. She may not always have all the details, but she knows that everything she needs will be revealed in time. She doesn't need a roadmap. She has an inner map that directs her to the right opportunities, the right people, and the right timing. And as her intuition strengthens, she learns to act from a place of peace rather than pressure. She's not rushing, not forcing things to happen. She knows that what's meant for her will find its way to her, and when the time is right, she will be ready. In moments of doubt, she can rely on that quiet knowing. She may not have the proof yet, but she doesn't need it. She trusts the process and she trusts herself. This is the power of a woman who has developed unshakable intuition. It is not just about predicting the future or reading the signs. It's about trusting in the unseen and allowing her spirit to guide her toward what is meant to be. It's a knowing that transcends logic, and it's a gift that allows her to move through life with confidence, purpose, and peace. As we reflect on the 7 signs that a woman is on the verge of receiving something big from God, we see a powerful narrative unfolding, a narrative of divine preparation, strength, and transformation. It's a journey of shifting priorities, embracing discomfort, and trusting in a deeper knowing that comes from within. The doors that open, the isolation that serves as a catalyst, the unshakable intuition that guides her. Each of these are not coincidences, but signs that something extraordinary is on the horizon. These signs are not to be feared, but to be embraced. They are the markers of divine elevation. It's not about the struggle or the uncertainty. It's about the growth and the alignment that happens in the process. When God is about to bless a woman with something big, she will know it before the world does. She will feel it in her spirit, in her bones, and in her soul. And when the time comes, she will step into her blessings with confidence, grace, and an undeniable knowing that everything she has been through was preparing her for this moment. Thank you for being part of this journey and for taking the time to listen and reflect. May you recognize these signs in your own life and trust that something greater is unfolding. Keep walking in faith, because what meant for you will always find its way to you. Thank you.